Over about the last 130 years, there has been a theory about global warming, fact or fiction. With a lot of evidence we have gathered, we have determined that humans are causing this warming.
The evidence that we have gathered is that average temperatures have climbed 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit around the world since 1880. Much of this in recent decades, according to NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies. The rate of warming is increasing. The 20th century's last 2 decades were the hottest in 400 years, and possibly the warmest for several millennia, according to a number of climate studies. And the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC, reports that 11 of the past 12 years among the dozen warmest since 1850. The Arctic is feeling the effects the most. Average temperatures in Alaska, Western Canada, and Eastern Russia have risen at twice the global average, according to the Multinational Arctic Climate Impact Assessment Report compiled between 2000 and 2004. Arctic ice is rapidly disappearing, and the region may have its first completely ice-free summer by 2040 or earlier. Polar bears and indigenous cultures are already suffering from the sea ice loss. Glaciers and mountain snows are rapidly melting. For example, Montana's Glaciers National Park now only has 27 glaciers versus 150 in 1910. In the northern hemisphere, thaws also come a week earlier in spring and freezes begin a week later.
Coral reefs, which are highly sensitive to small changes in water temperature, suffered the worst bleaching, or die-off, in response to stress ever recorded in 1998, with some areas seeing bleach rates of 70%. Experts expect these sorts of events to increase in frequency and intensity in the next 50 years as sea temperature rises. An upsurge in the amount of extreme weather events such as wildfires, heat waves, and strong tropical storms is also attributed in part to climate change by some experts. It isn't an easy subject because scientists can find so many reasons to why it is and is not true. But we met with a scientist, Colin Penn, who helped us and told us why global warming is a real thing and why humans are to blame. Okay. How long have you been invested in the topic of global warming?
I was probably first introduced to global warming in my freshman year of college, which was 2005. That's when I really started to learn about it and be introduced from my professors.
All right. What is your opinion on global warming? Do you think it is a hoax or are humans causing this?
Well, that's a tough question because the climate is cyclic, and so it's hard to tell whether or not, it's hard to differentiate whether or not our human influences are causing the trends that we see. But as far as the models go, which seems to be the direction that things like the IPCC are using to assess global warming, that it is human-based and human-influenced to a degree.
All right, so why do you think that humans are causing this?
Well, I think the modeling is probably the biggest evidence for this because they've developed pretty substantial models that they run past climate scenarios and have been able to model what the past climate was. And when they input these new scenarios that include human influences, you can see the global warming trends as a result, as a direct result of human influences. And so that, I think, is probably the best evidence for it.
All right, thank you.
There is also another side to global warming, where it is questioned and even being asked if it is just a hoax. Maybe it's just the Earth's natural cycles, or sunspots. We also found it strange that the increase in CO2 follows the temperature. There is about an 800-year lag between the two. What is causing the temperature to rise then? We aren't completely sure, but we think it might have something to do with the Milankovitch cycles. They're what causes the Earth's temperature to fluctuate up and down. Also, there are sunspots that have about an 11-year cycle, and right now, they're at a point in their cycle where they're at their high. This means that there will be more solar activity, which leads to hotter temperatures.
As you can see, we have a lot of evidence supporting why global warming is due to humans and why it is a real thing. That being said, there are still reasons to why global warming might be a hoax, and this might just be one of Earth's usual cycles. We don't know for sure, but what we do know is that whether global warming is fact or fiction, we do need to do something about it. I need to rehearse what I'm going to say.
Go.
I can't go.
Yeah.
This warming past 130 years. I hope you're not videotaping.
I am.
Oh no. Stop it. Cut. Over.
So, the evidence that we have gathered is that average temperatures have climbed 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sky. It's not like I moved that time.
There's also the other side of globalization. We
Coral
know.
reefs, which are highly sensitive to small changes in water temperatures, suffered the worst bleaching.
What? Okay.
Bleaching. It isn't an easy subject because scientists can find so many reasons.
This is our counter argument. There's also another side to global warming, where global warming is questioned, and even for, oh my god, for our county, oh my god.
As you can see, we have a lot of evidence supporting why global warming is due to humans and why it is a real thing. That being said, there are still reasons as to why global warming... You put global...